Good morning, everyone here in the room and those of you who are joining us remotely via the live stream. We are so excited to have you at our first annual Okta Showcase. All of you are probably familiar with our annual user conference, Octane, and if you aren't, you absolutely should be. And I can see how you could draw parallels between Octane and Showcase. But Showcase is actually the evolution of another event series, our internal launch events. You might not know this, but we actually push releases live in the product every single week. That's so many new features that it's actually kind of hard to keep track of. So about a year ago, Todd and our product and engineering leadership teams decided that it was about time we gave the folks building those features an opportunity to showcase them to the entire company. So just a week ago, in this very room, our all-hands space at Okta HQ, a whole slew of product managers and engineers got on this very stage and did 12 demos showcasing 20 plus new features. Today, we're excited to bring some of the best of those advancements to you. And before I embarrass myself and say the word showcase one more time this morning, I'm going to hand it over to someone who needs no introduction, our CEO and co-founder, Todd McKinnon. Todd.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay. It's great to be here. I was walking in today and met a gentleman in the hallway outside, and I said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you. So when you come to events like this, what brings you here? What are you looking for?" And he said, "Well, the main thing is we don't really want to hear from the CEO. We want to hear from the layer below. The people that," he didn't say this as much, but what he meant was the people who really know what they're doing." I said to him, "Well, nice to meet you. I'm the CEO." So I won't spend too much time speaking up front here to kind of setting the context for our event, but we are really thrilled to talk about a lot of the innovation we're delivering to the market. And so before we do that, I'll talk a little bit about our strategy and how these innovations fit in with the rest of how we think about the company. We're a product company, and fundamentally we want to build the best product that makes customers successful, that has the easiest to use UI, the most scalable architecture, highly secure, and especially in the identity space, it's really, really critical that those products are integrated to everything. So we want to build infinite integrations and make sure that whatever our customers use our products to do, it's seamlessly connected and with no friction fits in with their environment. That's incredibly important to us. And it's about the use cases that they can accomplish. It's about, at the end of the day, products and integrations are the foundation, but what do they actually do with the product? What value does it deliver to them? And we strive for unlimited use cases. Whatever they want to do with technology, however they want to bring it to their people, we want to support them and be high value add in those scenarios. And those products and those integrations and those use cases generate a lot of valuable data for our customers. And we take that data and we make sure we feed it back into the products to assure that the products get better over time and the customers get more value over time. So it's not just about buying a static product. It's about continuously innovating and taking all of the integrations and the use cases and the data and feeding it back into the products. And at the center of this virtuous cycle are our customers. It's fundamentally about how we can make them more successful, how we can really move the needle in their environments and helping them meet the challenges they have with their technology and their users, and ultimately helping them achieve and fulfill their missions as organizations. A lot of competitors in the marketplace might have an element of this. You might hear competitors talk about features or functions, or you might hear them talk about how they're trying to do what we're doing around integrations. But no one has this comprehensive view of the strategy, and no one thinks about it as a linked, integrated cycle for the benefit of customers. I think it's a powerful idea. And you're seeing results in the marketplace. Over 7,000 customers, growing very strong, and it's small customers, medium customers, large customers, every industry, every type of scenario of companies that we can help. We're there to help them. Talked about the integrations. The integration catalog is something we talk about a lot, and the numbers are impressive. But I think it's more than that. It's really qualitatively what an integration means to us. And it's evolving and becoming more powerful from early days when it was just authentication integrations to applications, largely SaaS applications, it's really matured where you see now integrations are to everything in the IT stack, from devices, very deeply integrated on the device side, on the firewall side, security tools, everything a customer might need to have their identity system connected to. We strive to seamlessly integrate to that, and we've made great progress there. So as I mentioned, our customer success is really spread across all different sizes of companies, but we're particularly proud of the success we've had with the world's largest organizations. So our vision is to enable any organization to use any technology, but the world's largest organizations are a critical market for us, and it's for a few reasons. The main reason is that if you think about what we do, we connect people to technology. So the world's largest organizations have the most technology, and they have the most complex technology, mostly because they've been around the longest usually, which means they have different generations of technology they've put in place, which makes adopting the latest generation of technology that much more complex and potentially full of that much more friction. So they really need what we have to offer, and we're focused and excited on delivering that to them. So not only do they have the most technology, but they have the most people, most employees, most partners, most people in their extended ecosystem. So it's a tremendous opportunity for us to show the value we have and for them to get the benefit out of it. And in fact, this is the focus of this showcase event today. As Lindsay mentioned, there's a ton of innovation going on in product and engineering, but to focus this event and make sure we tie it around something that's very important for us as a company, all these innovations and all these features we'll talk about are all focused on serving the world's largest organizations. So the opportunity there to deliver value to them is extremely high, but the stakes for the world's largest organization are extremely high as well. In fact, for them, it's really a matter of life or death. It's really a matter of them surviving in this new world of technology or them being replaced by something else. And I think the Darwinian theory, the origin of species, is a good metaphor for this in the natural world. Everyone knows it's survival of the fittest, and it's the strongest survive. And the same thing is happening in the world's largest organizations. It is a matter of life or death, and it's a matter of how the strong rise to the top and thrive in this new world. If you look at the list of the Fortune 500 companies from 20 years ago, roughly 20 years ago, about 2000, here's the list. It's on the screen. And if you fast forward to today, it's a much different list. Half of that list is no longer there. They've either gone out of business, they've been replaced on the list by a larger, faster growing technology company. There's M&A, there's different changes, but the fact of the matter is that half the list is no longer there. So they didn't thrive, they didn't change, they didn't adapt. And that's a key word, adaptation. Because what Darwin really said was it wasn't about the strongest, it was about those in nature that were most able to change, that they could demonstrate the capability to adjust with changing circumstances and thrive in this new world. And it's a good metaphor for thinking about the stakes in the world's largest organizations. They should, if you think about the potential, they should really win. They have the most money, they have the brand recognition, they have the history and operations. So they should be the ones that would take advantage of all this technology and all this opportunity. But you see other things happen many times, and I think it's really a missed opportunity. So let's drill into the technology trends underneath this. Everyone knows that there's a lot of technology change, but at the heart of it, it's the cloud, and the cloud changes everything. If you go back to 2000, what was really happening in the year 2000 is that the internet and cloud computing was taking off. It's a profound change. It's a change that's more impactful than any other technology change in all of our careers. And you're seeing it drive a fundamentally reshuffling in the world's largest organizations. The cloud is about many things, but if you think about the trends behind it, one of them is best of breed. A couple decades ago, you could largely source technology from one vendor or a few vendors. But one of the things we've seen is a proliferation of different vendors all up and down the stack. So now the world's largest organization the challenge is how do I take the best technology from people making devices, making networks, making platforms, making operating systems, making development tools, making application suites, making collaboration. How do I take that all together and mix it into a technology strategy for my company that will serve the needs of my business and move me forward? It's also about openness and access, and things can be accessed from anywhere. Great for ease of use and flexibility, but also really, really raises the stakes on security. And not only are the stakes raised on security, but if you think about how you used to secure things, it was relatively simple. You put a firewall around the perimeter, you kind of closed off, made sure your offices were secure, and your data center was secure, and that was security. And that world's dramatically changed. And now not only the stakes are high for security, but actually how you secure it is a big challenge for organizations. And then finally, it's not just about using technology to be more productive in your organizations, but it's also about technology shifting the fundamentals of every business. And every one of those companies on the Fortune 500 has to worry about how they're going to take this technology and use it to build new products and services, to enhance their existing products and services, and adapt and thrive in this world versus falling behind and being replaced by some upstart or some other company that's more flexible and more willing to change. So where are we in this evolution of cloud? Well, it's still relatively early, and it's growing very quickly. You see it growing at 8 times the growth rate of traditional on-premise computing. The numbers are getting big, though. While it's still relatively early, it's $500 billion of spend on the cloud. And then finally, if you just talk to companies, nearly every company now has a cloud strategy, which wasn't true, especially when we started Okta 10 years ago. It wasn't true. Maybe even 5 years ago, this number wouldn't have been as high. You wouldn't have talked to 3 out of 4 companies and said, hey, we have a cloud strategy and we're going there. So there's lots of potential, lots of opportunity, lots of risk. And I think what's going to define the companies that thrive is a capacity for technology. In this technologically centric world, what companies can adopt this technology, use it, and make sure it's applied to their industry and their innovations most effectively. Those are the ones that are going to thrive. So it's easier said than done, but there's some inspiration in companies that have done it relatively well. Think about a company like Disney. It's a company, Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse. It's a traditional company, but they've really reimagined themselves, whether it's the technology experience at the theme parks or it's what they're doing with streaming with Movies Anywhere or Disney Plus. You don't think of them as falling behind. You think of them as being right on the forefront of technology. Or a retailer, NORDSTROM, famous for customer service. There's the story about NORDSTROM that, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's one of those urban legends that someone brought a tire into NORDSTROM and said, I want to return this tire. And the salesperson says, well, we let anyone return anything here, so I'll take your tire. And took their tire and gave them a free suit or something, I don't know. But it's very customer-centric company, and they're aggressively investing to make sure that experience for the customer extends into this technological realm. So you can text your salesperson, making sure that their online systems sync up with the in-store systems. They're even doing acquisitions of things like Trunk Club to bring together that online with the in-store retailing process. So they're not being left behind. Or American Express, financial services. But if you look at American Express, they're really turning themselves into a data company. They want to take the data they have in the financial transactions and make sure that they get every insight possible, and they're able to take that and feed it back into building better products and services for their customers. So 3 companies that are inspirational, not being left behind, doing their best to ride this next wave of transition of technology and to survive far into the future. So if you think about all the challenges with technology and these examples of companies that have done it well, and the challenges facing all the other organizations that need to thrive, identity is at the center of it. It's whether you're trying to secure this best-of-breed environment, mixing across legacy technology that's on-premise, new cloud technology. Identity is the center to making that happen and to making it easy to use and to making it highly secure. It's also key when you're thinking about digital transformation. You're thinking about how you can build new digital products and make those secure and make those personalized and achieve the tremendous potential that those technologies afford the opportunity those technologies afford. So that's why we built the Okta Identity Cloud. It's a totally different way of thinking about this world. It's taking what used to be the identity capabilities of different products and platforms spread across a company and centralizing those in one platform. One platform that connects to everything, that thrives in this world of complexity and best of breed, and helps companies manage the identity, this key part of all of these stacks, centrally. So they can rest assured that it's consistent, that it's secure, that whatever they want to bring on board or whatever they want to deploy, they'll be able to do so highly efficiently and in a highly scalable way. So we're really excited about the progress here. And and we'll talk a lot about features and functions, but one thing I've learned is that building the company is that it's got to start with the people. And we sell a software product, we market a software product, it's all based on what the people do. There's no factories, there's no goods and services, physical goods and services. It's all about things that are creatively created by people. So about a year ago, we started looking for a new person to run our product team. So you're talking about a people-centric business in a product-centric company. You can imagine the bar was pretty high when we thought about bringing this next leader on board. And I talked to tons of people and met every product leader in Silicon Valley and beyond. And when I met Dia, it was like I knew right away that it was this great combination of someone that knew a significant amount about IT and the technology we were building, but also someone that could look forward and look at the identity industry and the technology industry in a way that would really benefit not only the world's largest organizations, but every company we were helping and could potentially help. But as you can imagine, it was not the easiest interview process. We were pretty tough on her, but she thrived, and we're great to have her on board. And now, for the person you all really came to hear, since you didn't want to hear from the C-level, I'd like to introduce Okta's Chief Product Officer, Dia Jolly.
Thanks, Todd. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. I joined Okta about 6 months ago. And really, you'd think my identity journey started then. But that's actually not true. So I've been thinking about identity for over a decade. And this started back when I first became a product manager. I was a product manager developing mobile devices, and identity was central to it. It was when SaaS apps came out, it was central to it, as SaaS apps. And more recently in my career, as I've worked on personalization and artificial intelligence, I've had to think about identity as a product person. It's that one thing that weaves across everything. And as technological evolution happens, the thing that kept striking me was, look, I can't do this if there's no foundation here with identity. I need an identity foundation, and it needs to be strong and secure. Back in business school, I actually wrote a business plan on identity. It didn't win the competition. I should have called Todd and Freddie to actually help me write my business plan, maybe. But even since then, I've actually been following identity on multiple fronts, primarily because as a product manager, I couldn't ignore it. I needed identity in every one of my products. So when I started talking to Todd, there was this instant understanding of the importance of identity. And he's mentioned this. And really, for me, the exciting thing about joining Okta was, while I'd engaged with a bunch of identity providers, we tried to build our own identity, I had never actually seen a strategy that was this unique and differentiated and this compelling. And that's what really got me here. That's why I'm so excited to be here. And also, as a product person, there's so much work still left to do in this field, right? There's so much more innovation. So I'm super excited to be here. I love our unique strategy and approach. And let's transition to why I think we are the best company to help the world's largest organizations. When you look at Okta, and you look at the Okta Identity Cloud, it's the only true neutral and independent platform out there in the industry, right? It's our platform-centric approach that allows us to deliver a tremendous amount of value to our customers. First, we have one platform that goes across all use cases. What this means is anything we build can be applied across the broadest range of identity use cases. So workforce, partners, customers, right? And across the broadest range of technologies, applications to infrastructure. It allows us to really innovate much faster. We build it once and we can apply it to many. The second thing is that we are actually using a platform we are actually able to provide our customers with a highly flexible and customizable solution to be able to meet whatever their business needs are. And third, by having a technology platform that's open, we allow other vendors to be able to integrate with us easily. This means SOARs, SIMs, governance tools, other SaaS apps can actually integrate with us, and we can fit seamlessly into our customers' technology ecosystem. Now, this is super powerful for our customers. This is because it allows them to be able to standardize on an approach to identity. And they can do this just using Okta. Now, every company wants to standardize on an approach to identity, especially the world's largest organization. Why? Because it helps save them cost, it makes them more secure, and it helps them drive greater efficiency with their workforce. But the challenge is that as the world's largest organizations try to standardize on an approach to identity, they have many unique challenges that they have to overcome. They have technology that's 30 to 40 years old. This technology is deeply embedded in their environments. They've spent tens of millions of dollars trying to customize it for their needs. And they're really hard to rip and replace. But the world is best of breed by necessity, as we've talked about. These companies need to be able to adopt the latest cloud technologies that help drive the productivity and efficiency of their workforces. So what do? To support this hybrid IT environment, they actually end up building custom solutions and workarounds. But here's the problem. These custom solutions and workarounds are hard to manage, they're hard to secure, they're costly, and they have a clunky end user and administrative experience. They're not that much fun. So these organizations actually have a genuine struggle. How do you make cloud technologies coexist seamlessly with on-prem legacy applications? Now, technology proliferation is not the only problem these companies deal with. They also deal with people proliferation. Remember the days back when everyone was on a corporate network and on a corporate device? Everything was behind the firewall? Well, back then, if you wanted to protect your organization, all you had to do was secure the perimeter. The problem today is the world's largest organizations have large global teams spread out all over the world. They have tens of thousands of remote employees who expect to be able to tap in from anywhere to work. And they have contractors and partners also numbering in the tens of thousands that need to be able to have the right access to get their job done, right? The perimeter has disappeared. And some organizations, especially the world's largest organizations, securing some organizations, especially the world's largest organizations, has become exponentially more complicated. That's not all. The world's largest organizations are also dealing with a massive global customer base. And this customer base behaves very differently now than it did even a decade ago. You just have to look at my kid to know that. They spend all their time online across multiple devices and across multiple channels. And to be to be able to keep top of mind with these customers, every company, even physical good companies, have to develop digital products and experiences. And when they do this, they have to develop a robust, seamless, and secure identity experience for that. Now, these are the challenges that are the most pressing for the world's largest organizations. How do you enable hybrid IT? How do you secure your organization when the perimeter's disappeared? And how do you build digital products and applications for your customers while keeping them secure? These are the challenges that we're addressing uniquely today. At Okta, we're innovating on the future of identity. But we can't do this at the cost of what our customers need today to make their companies work. You've heard that cloud spend is outpacing non-cloud spend by a factor of 8. But honestly, as anybody in the world's largest organization will tell you, the movement to the cloud is a journey for these companies. Last year, or earlier this year, we published a report called the Digital Enterprise Report. In it, we surveyed companies with over $1 billion in revenue. Here's what we found. 85% of these companies still have 1/3 of their applications on-premise. And what's even more interesting is that they don't expect this hybrid IT environment to go away for the next decade. So the opportunity for us at Okta is, how do we actually help our customers tightly weave together cloud and on-premise to be able to deliver greater security, more workforce efficiency, and cost savings? Now, one of the biggest challenges with hybrid IT is simply the issue of access. How do you provide the right people with the right access seamlessly and securely at the right time to the right technologies, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud? The Okta Identity Cloud was natively built to seamlessly and securely provide access to cloud applications. If you wanted to access on-premise applications, you did so via one of our many integrations with WAM providers. This was a lightweight solution. Over the last year, we've been spending a significant amount of time and money in trying to solve the problem of hybrid IT access natively within Okta. Okta Access Gateway. We announced this product back at Octane 19. This product since then has seen a tremendous amount of interest from the world's largest organizations. Okta Access Gateway allows our customers to natively extend the Okta Identity Cloud from cloud to ground. All the benefits of the Okta Identity Cloud that are available for cloud applications are now available for on-premise applications that so many organizations use. This really is a game changer for many organizations. First, organizations are able to unify their approach to security. They're also able to provide a streamlined end user and admin experience now. And third, it helps drive a significant amount of cost savings because you now don't need middleware, databases, servers that you need with on-prem legacy providers. Finally, it's actually quick and easy to deploy because you have to make no changes to the authentication mechanism of your on-premise apps. To show you why this technology is so powerful, I'm actually going to talk about 3 customers that have been using it and talk about the benefits that they've seen. So first, Nextier Automotive. Nextier Automotive is a global steering and driveline business. They have 14,000 employees and 20% of their apps are on-premise. Using Okta Access Gateway, they have been able to unify their approach to security. Now, they can provide anytime, anywhere authorized access to both on-premise and cloud applications for their entire workforce. The second customer is Alliance Data. Alliance Data is a global data-driven marketing and loyalty solutions provider. They serve large consumer-based industries. Before Okta Access Gateway, they had multiple individual credentials for their many on-premise applications. Some of these applications were very critical, like finance applications, and they more or less ran their company. Using Okta Access Gateway, they have now been able to provide the same single sign-on and lifecycle management for those on-premise applications as they have for their cloud applications. The third customer is Hitachi. Hitachi is a 108-year-old business. They have 300,000 customers and 900 business units. Hitachi used Okta Access Gateway to deprecate their on-premise legacy identity provider and get a ton of cost savings. Today, all of Hitachi's employees all over the world use the Okta Identity Cloud to access hundreds of on-premise and cloud applications. Now, the Okta Access Gateway has been available to a select number of customers. But starting November 1st, it's going to be generally available to everyone. But rather than show you how much better it is with Okta Access Gateway, let me call up Tana and Kelsey on the stage to do a demo.
Hi everyone, we're excited to show you the investments we've made in authentication, access, and hybrid IT. Before we get started with the demo, I wanted to call out that you're going to see the same image on both screens, so feel free to follow along on whichever one's closest to you. And also for today's demo, I'm Kelsey, the Chief Information Officer at ATCO. ATCO is a Fortune 500 manufacturing organization. Today we have over 100,000 users, including employees, contractors, and partners all around the globe. We also have thousands of applications, both cloud and on-premises, that my team needs to manage. And with competition on the rise, it's even more important for my team to find new ways to drive efficiencies and improve our overall security posture. Last year we rolled out Okta to help us manage access to our cloud applications, and the results were tremendous, which is why recently we decided to extend our Okta deployment to on-premises applications as well. And so far, the feedback has been great. But before we show you what it looks like today, I want to give you a little insight of what our users used to experience before we rolled out the Okta Access Gateway.
Hi everyone, my mic's on. Okay, there we go. I'm Tanha and I'm a supply chain manager here at ATCO. My job involves traveling around to various warehouses around the world to coordinate activities like production, purchasing, and distribution. That means I need to have access to all my applications from anywhere in the world. So a typical day for me starts out here in Okta. You can see here on my screen that I'm already logged in and I have access to all my web applications. Take Slack for example. We use Slack to collaborate, and to log in, all I have to do is click on the application and I have access to my messages. However, most of my real work requires me to access documents stored on the ATCO intranet. And since I'm accessing a custom application stored in ATCO's data centers, I have to go through the VPN ATCO set up for employees. So to do that, I'll go here to the VPN portal, and I hit the VPN. I'll go here and enter in my username, password, and a token from my portable security key. I really don't know why I still need to use this thing. I have Touch ID on my laptop, but whatever. I'll click login, and I'm locked out. Yet once again. I swear something's broken about that thing, but I'll go and file a ticket to IT and complain on Slack at the same time.
As you can see, access management for our on-premises applications used to be a huge challenge for our organization. And it wasn't just the ease of getting into these on-premises applications. One of the biggest concerns for my team with using the VPN was the potential for security vulnerabilities. If a threat actor were to get access to our network, they would have access to everything. We turned to the Okta Access Gateway to help us rethink how we manage access to our on-premises applications. Now, through Okta, we're able to unify policies across all of our apps through one unified identity system, cloud to ground. You can see here that my team has already configured a number of applications here in our Okta Access Gateway. And because we operate under the principle of least privilege, we're able to ensure that users have access to only the applications that they need and no more. And because we're using the Okta Access Gateway, we can take this principle of least privilege a step further. Let's look at an example. Here I'll pull up the supply chain portal intranet app that our user was trying to access earlier. And when I pull up the details here and take a look at the policies, you can see that we're actually able to go a step further and apply that policy framework down to the specific pages within an application. Some pages, for example, the inventory and the contracts pages, are protected by a general set of Okta credentials. Any user that's been assigned to this application can authenticate via Okta. Other pages, for example this accounts payable page, are protected by an additional rule. In this case, only users who are members of the finance group would be able to access this particular page. Let's see what it looks like for an end user.
So over here in my Slack, you can see that I've got an update from IT. It seems like I can now access the ATCO intranet via Okta. That seems interesting. Let me go over here to my Okta dashboard, and you can see here in the notifications that I've been told I've been assigned the ATCO intranet application. It appears here on my dashboard. Looks like I can just click on it, and I'm logged straight in. No VPN this time. So let's make sure that I have access to everything I need. I'll check my inventory. Looks good. Contracts. Yep, definitely can do my work. And going over here, let me tell you a little secret. I used to look at the accounts payable page all the time. It was so fun to look at those numbers, but now it says finance only. Wonder what's up with that. Looks like access denied. Then again, I never really should have had access to that in the first place.
And this is just a simple example. We've been able to apply this policy framework across all of our applications from cloud to ground, ensuring our users only have access to the pages and resources that they need and no more. Let's look at one other example.
It's also end of quarter right now, and us supply chain managers have a lot to do, even while we're traveling. It looks like I have a message here to update inventory logs in Oracle E-Business Suite. Great. Yet another old school application I have to log in using that VPN and my security token. Speaking of, I think that thing's still broken, so I'll just do this later.
Many of our employees also use applications such as the Oracle E-Business Suite to manage inventory and transportation logistics. We've gone ahead and added the Oracle E-Business Suite to our Okta Access Gateway to make it easy for our employees to access that particular application. But because this is connected with Okta, we can take this a step further and apply the same modern authentication policies we use for our cloud applications to all of our on-premises apps as well, including passwordless and risk-based authentication. When I come over here to the Okta sign-on policy page, you can see that my team has gone ahead and configured a passwordless login experience for all of our employees. When I pull up the details of this policy, scroll to the bottom here, you can see that my team has chosen to use WebAuthn, which is a strong phishing-resistant factor, as the primary way to authenticate into Okta. You'll notice there's no second factor here required, no password needed. And because I'm only requiring a single factor here, I want to make sure there's an extra layer of security behind this authentication. Okta's risk engine can evaluate context such as the user's device, their location, as well as insights from across each and every one of Okta's thousands of customers to determine the potential riskiness of any single authentication. In this case, because I'm only using one factor, I'm only going to allow this authentication if it's a low-risk login. If it's a medium or high risk, we'll go ahead and prompt for a second factor. Since this all looks good, I'll go ahead and activate this policy, and let's see how our end users react.
Let's go back over here in Slack, and it looks like I have yet another update from IT. They're moving so fast these days. This one's announcing passwordless authentication for all apps. Let's see how this looks. So over here in my Okta portal, I'll be asked to sign in. So I'll enter in with my username. And on this page, instead of entering a password, my browser's actually asking me for Touch ID. To do that, I'll just take my thumb, hold it against the fingerprint reader here, and I'm logged straight into Okta. No passwords needed. You'll see here in notifications that I've also been assigned the Oracle EBS application. I did need to update those inventory logs. So I'll go down here and click on the application. This time, it's fixed, it's connecting, so I won't get myself locked out. Still going. And with just that, I'm logged straight in. I guess with these updates, I don't need the security token or the VPN anymore. So now the process is exactly the same for Slack, my Atco intranet, and Oracle E-Business Suite. I don't really know what I'm doing with this thing anymore. So here you go, Dia.
Now with Okta, and in particular the Okta Access Gateway, it's much easier for my team to manage the entirety of our complex hybrid IT environment. And the results speak for themselves. Not only have we been able to reduce the number of help desk tickets that my team needs to manage, we've been able to increase our end user productivity as well as enhance our overall security posture. There's a lot for me to share at our next board meeting, and I can't wait to see what else Okta has in store.
Thank you, Tana and Kelsey. Hopefully you all enjoyed that demo, and it gave you a good sense of how Okta can help large organizations embrace hybrid IT. But there's a second major area we can help with, and that's security. We all know that securing large organizations is becoming more and more complicated, and that the threat landscape is continuously changing. Now, it's no surprise to anyone that it's the large organizations that are the most under attack. Hackers, they target these whales not just because of the potential impact, but honestly, because they're easier to crack than the smaller organizations. For these large organizations, it's their people that are their greatest threat. They have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of employees, partners, contractors all over the world. And these people are working remotely more and more. Each and every one of these workers represents a growing point of vulnerability for the organization. The more people you have to manage and secure, the more points of failure you have. But what if, rather than being complicit in an organization's security posture, each and every worker could now join a people perimeter that helped defend the organization? Think about that. It's really powerful. Okay. Given the dynamic nature of today's workforce, the dissolution of the perimeter, and the constantly evolving threat landscape, more and more organizations are turning towards an identity-centric approach to security. Put differently, if you know who someone is, what device they're on, where they are, what network they're on, what permissions they have, you should be able to provide them with the most seamless and secure identity experience. That's fundamentally what the Okta Identity Cloud does. However, we can do so much more. We have massive amounts of data from our thousands of customers, thousands of integrations, and millions of daily authentications that are running through our platform. And as you know, data is one of the cornerstones of our strategy. And it's in the area of security where we can use this data to deliver tremendous amounts of value to our customers. Today, I'm incredibly excited to announce Okta Security Insights, a new category of data-driven features. Okta Security Insights are valuable for all our customers, but for the world's largest organization, they help shift the balance of power when it comes to security. By using them, we believe that large organizations can now turn their size into an advantage. They can turn their workforce into an army of first responders, and they can allow everyone in the organization to help defend a global attack surface. There are 3 levels of security insights. User insight at the end user level. Health insight at the admin level. And threat insight at the customer network level. I'm especially pumped about these features, so let me tell you how it works. User insight. User insight is a new feature. It uses data to report any anomalous behavior to an end user. The end user can then look at that and decide if it's suspicious, and with just a click of a button, they can report it to their administrators. Administrators can go a step further, and they can actually set up automated remediation actions in downstream systems like SOARs and SIMs. This allows administrators to create a seamless end user experience while still protecting their organization from credential-based attacks. Health Insight. We developed Health Insight for administrators to keep up to date with the constantly evolving security best practices and to make sure that their organizations are always on top of their game when protecting themselves. We hear from customers that this is often a problem. What was a best practice yesterday is no longer a best practice today. It's actually considered dangerous. Health Insight has made it easy for our customers to be able to understand how to optimize their Okta configurations. But that's not all. With just a click of a button, with just a couple of clicks, they can actually now take action on these recommendations. This might sound trivial to some of you in the room, but for organizations that have tens of thousands of employees and thousands of policies, there's no centralized and simplified way to do this today. Now, Health Insight and User Insight join Threat Insight. We announced Threat Insight at Octane 18. Threat Insight uses suspicious login data and attack data from across our customers' network to keep all organizations proactively secure. Whenever we see something suspicious happening with one of our customers, we actually allow all our customers to set policies against that activity. So for example, now, based on different contextual criteria, you can either block certain IPs by deeming them as threatening. You can set up a second factor for a challenge, or you can deem them non-threatening. Threat Insight allows each and every one of Okta's customer to avail of the vast network effects Okta has. Now, with Okta Security Insight, we are leveraging our data-driven and platform-driven approach to allow the world's largest organizations to develop an identity-centric approach to security. Each of these are available to Okta customers starting today. All you have to do is turn them on. However, these features are better seen than told. So let me call the demo team back up here to show you Okta Security Insights in action.
Hello again. I'm still Kelsey. For this demo, I'm going to be the Chief Information Security Officer at ATCO. And as CISO, it's my responsibility to oversee the overall security posture of our organization.
And for this demo, I'm Tanha, still Tanha, and I'm one of the IT directors here at ATCO. I'm responsible for our Okta deployment and to help manage our large global help desk.
As you heard before, the ATCO organization is growing rapidly. We're onboarding thousands of new users and applications on a daily basis, which leaves a lot more for my team to protect. As a result, my CEO and board are asking for more regular updates as to the status of our security posture. No one wants us to be the next company in the headlines for a breach. As a result, there are two things that keep me up at night. The first is the evolving threat landscape. The second is my team's ability to scale to meet those challenges. The reality is that as our organization continues to grow, we don't stand a chance against these threats unless my team finds new ways to protect our organization. We rolled out Okta so we can manage access to our cloud and on-premises applications, and I now see an opportunity to standardize protections to help better protect our business. And I'm now leaning on IT to implement the best policies to protect the org. Let's see how they're doing.
I've built my career in IT around deploying the right tools for our end users. However, I've focused on productivity and efficiency, not as much in security. Lately, I've been experiencing a lot of pressure from leadership and from the office of the CISO to really tighten up our Okta deployment. Health Insight has been really helpful in bridging that gap. Health Insight performs a live audit of my environment, giving me personalized recommendations on how best to secure my org. So you can see here in the Complete tab that my team has already completed a couple of recommendations, such as limiting the number of super admins and enabling new sign-on notifications. However, we still have a couple left to do. Going down here, I see a recommendation to enable Threat Insight, Okta's service level threat detection. This actually reminds me of a recent presentation from our CISO.
Today, over 70% of all hacking-related breaches are caused by stolen credentials. Threat actors don't have to hack in. They can just log in if they're not using a solution like Okta, and they know it. That's why my team spends countless hours trying to protect us against these threat actors, including blocking malicious IPs to help protect against password spray and brute force type attacks.
With Threat Insight, Okta is looking across its network of customers and tagging IPs as malicious if it detects patterns of brute force or password spray. I can have these IPs, these malicious IPs, automatically blocked from accessing my org. Since this is available to all Okta deployments, this one feels like a no-brainer, so I'll go ahead and enable. I'll click on Go to Security here, and scroll down to Threat Insight Settings. You can see here in the settings that my team has already enabled the feature in log mode, but I'm going to go ahead and flip the switch over to block mode so that I can automatically block these malicious IPs from accessing my org. I'll click Save. And with these few quick clicks, our IT and security teams are no longer going and manually blocking malicious IPs. Instead, we can leverage Okta's network of customers to automatically detect and block. So now that I have that done, let's go back to Health Insight to see if there's anything left. I see here one more recommendation to enable strong factors and disable weak factors like security question and SMS. I can just imagine what our CISO would say if she saw this one.
Factors like security question and SMS are recognized by NIST to be weak, easily spoofed factors. SMS is vulnerable, for example, to SIM jacking, man-in-the-middle attacks, and more. We used to use SMS across our organization because it was easy to deploy and convenient for our end users around the globe. And for a time, it was considered to be a perfectly acceptable factor. However, today there are stronger options available, and our team needs to move towards these stronger phishing-resistant factors.
It's like she's in my head. I'll go ahead and have my team enable strong factors like Okta Verify Push and WebAuthn to replace Security Question and SMS. As factors come and go, Okta's always giving us the ability to integrate the latest. And on top of that, we can leverage the cloud to roll these new factors out to our global workforce.
These are the type of enhancements that can have a massive impact on our organization. Previously, we would have to go through each application to update policies, assign different factors, and not to mention to apply this across our entire global workforce. Now, with just a few simple clicks, we're able to apply these centralized policies across all of our applications, cloud to ground. And since we're rolling out stronger factors, I need to make sure to send our IT team a note. We got to get YubiKeys for all our execs, since we know execs are the most targeted users in our organization.
Going over here to my email, it looks like I just got that note from the CISO asking for YubiKeys for execs since they're our highest risk users. That's actually not always the case. Our security team recently presented some data from a tool we use called Proofpoint. I'll hop over to the Proofpoint dashboard here. So we here use Proofpoint for inbound email security and outbound data loss prevention. Since they're looking at all our emails, they can also identify and tell us who are the most attacked people in the group, and they populate it here in the very attacked people list. You can see here that there are some contractors and a payroll associate or couple, but not necessarily execs. The best thing about Proofpoint, though, is that Proofpoint and Okta recently announced an integration where the Okta platform can automatically ingest this list of very attacked people into a group in Okta's universal directory. My team then can create policies around this group. So I'll go over here back to my Okta dashboard, and you can see here in authentication sign-on policies, this policy I was talking about. You can see down here that this policy only allows login with the strongest factors and has a greatly limited session lifetime. The policy is assigned to the very attacked people group, which is continuously updated by the Proofpoint and Okta integration. This makes sure that I'm always protecting our most at-risk users with our strongest policies.
These integrations can have a massive impact on my team in particular. Now, we can take two of our top tools through the Okta Integration Network, Okta and Proofpoint, and combine them to drive additional value for IT and security teams. Because the reality is, as our organization continues to grow and threats continue to evolve, my team doesn't stand a chance unless we find new ways to automate and increase our visibility across our global workforce. Today we have over 100,000 users around the world. Imagine what we could do if we activated each and every one of those users to help join us in protecting our business. Together, alongside our IT and security teams, this concept of shared responsibility can help us enhance our overall security posture, strengthening our organization against potential threat actors. Let's see what IT can do with this shared responsibility concept.
Shared responsibility. Yet another CISOism. With Okta's new user insight feature, I can take our org one step closer to that model. You can see here that my team's already enabled this feature a couple days ago. So now, whenever an end user receives a notification from Okta informing them of a new sign-on or a change in their MFA enrollment status, they can, with a click of a button, automatically notify an admin. On top of that, we've leveraged Okta's new Workflows technology to create a custom incident response workflow for this reported suspicious activity. You can see here in this workflow that we're quarantining our users according to company policies, and we've added an integration to PagerDuty so our SecOps teams are automatically notified.
These are the types of automations that can help bring in and help drive efficiency for our organization. Let's see what it looks like in practice. Coming over to my email, you can see that my team has gone ahead and sent over a sample suspicious activity note. When I pull up this email, I can see that I am in fact not in Sao Paulo at present, so we'll go ahead and report this suspicious activity and confirm it here in my web browser. Again, this is going to kick off two automated workflows. One, through an integration with PagerDuty, I'm going to get a notification for our security team to start an investigation in this application. We'll also get a phone call and a text message alerting me that someone has reported that suspicious activity. And we can see that I just got that notification from PagerDuty. I'm getting the text message right now, and I just got that phone call, which I'll go ahead and decline for now. Secondly, we also want to make sure that while our SecOps team is able to investigate that incident, that we also put some extra protections around our end users. When I come over here to my dashboard, you can see that I have a number of applications. Let's give one a try. I'll try Splunk, which has a number of sensitive data in this. And when I click on that application, it looks like I've been denied access to that particular app. And when I come back to my Okta dashboard and refresh the screen, you can see that I've been assigned a quarantine README with more details on what's going on with my account. And my team has chosen a select few applications that are considered mission critical for our business to deny access for right now. And if I try a different application, let's say my Gmail, I'm now being prompted for a second factor, which adds an additional layer of security until my team can understand what's going on with this user's account. Since I'm using WebAuthn, I'll go ahead and put my finger here and I'll be authenticated in. This is the kind of capability that's going to help us take advantage of our scale, bringing in each and every one of our end users to help us better protect our organization. And because we're using Okta, we're able to apply those centralized policies across all of our applications, from cloud to ground, ensuring the overall strength of our business while we continue to investigate this particular incident. Again, something that was not possible before we used Okta.
And going over here, to close things out, here in Health Insight, you can see that I'm at 100%, so I'm done, at least for now. And I hope that, like this kind note from Okta, my CISO also thinks that I'm a secure shining star.
Thank you, Tana and Kelsey, for doing such a great job illustrating how Okta Security Insights can help keep the world's largest organization secure. We've talked a lot today about the challenges facing global organizations as they try to secure and support their workforce. However, there are an equal number of challenges that face them on the customer identity side. This is because, as we've talked about, all organizations must develop digital products and experiences to keep their global customer bases engaged, and they must do this across all digital devices and across all channels. While doing this, they must provide the best in-class performance across rigorous traffic conditions and across multiple different environments. And their identity workflows need to keep up with it, whether it's authorization, authentication, or registration. At Okta, we've spent the last 10 years building infrastructure to help the world's largest organization solve their customer identity challenges. Let me tell you a little bit about how we've done that. When someone looks at Okta, they generally see a single Okta Identity Cloud. However, our architecture is extremely distributed and redundant. We made significant investments in scaling that infrastructure out. Serving over 7,000 customers has allowed us to build out and optimize proprietary horizontal and vertical scaling designs. We've automated and made this infrastructure intelligent so that we can deliver incredible performance no matter what the volume is or what the identity workflow is. And this infrastructure is available globally so that no matter where a customer's customer is, we're still able to deliver the same peak performance and security. Now, this is not easy, and you will not find this anywhere else in the industry. Now, all of the constant investments we've made in our infrastructure allow us to deliver the kind of scale that you see with MLB. But it also opens up the door for us to do so much more. That's because we actually see a future where digital environments are going to need greater and greater scale, and they're going to need support for an even more diverse set of experiences. And we want to make sure that identity is up to the task. Today, we're announcing a new capability that takes our customer identity offering to an entirely new level. Introducing Dynamic Scale. Dynamic Scale solves the customer identity problem of the world's largest sites and brands. And it does this by supercharging performance. With Dynamic Scale, we can deliver 500,000 authentications per minute. That's right, 500,000 authentications per minute. That's enough to meet the traffic bursts of the world's largest sites and applications. Now, dynamic scale is a fundamental change to all the elements of the app stack. It drives high the capability for authentication, but does much more. It also drives high the capability for tokens, user registrations, authorizations, all parts of the identity workflow. Now, we're clearly delighted by this achievement, but what does 500,000 authentications really mean? The Chase Center opened here last month in San Francisco. With dynamic scale, we can authenticate enough fans to fill the Chase Center 27 times in a minute. But that's a physical example. What about a digital one? Every global giant is worried about Amazon coming into their market. To be able to compete, they need to be able to provide the same kind of performance, the same kind of scale, and the same kind of security that Amazon has built for themselves. Now, there's no better example of Amazon's might than Prime Day. They sell 175 million items in 36 hours. That's an average of 5 million items an hour. Using dynamic scale, one of our customers could actually authenticate each and every one of these hourly buyers in 10 minutes. That is the power of dynamic scale. Now, all of the technology we've shared with you today is focused on solving the most pressing problems of the world's largest organizations. But all of it is built on the Okta Identity Cloud. So what this means is any of our customers, regardless of size or scale, can avail of it. Ultimately, we believe that identity is the key to evolving in a rapidly key to a rapidly evolving digital world. And by harnessing the power of identity with Okta, we believe anything is possible for the world's largest organizations. Our vision is to enable any organization to use any technology. And to do so, we continue to build and innovate on our own identity platform so that our customers can do so much more. As you can tell, we've been very, very busy, and we're incredibly proud with what we've shown today. Hopefully, you're as excited as we are. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Lindsay.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelsey, Dia, and Tanha, for what it's worth. I think that you're a secure shining star. So we just heard and saw some of our latest product enhancements addressing key initiatives for our customers in hybrid IT, security, and digital transformation. Now we have the opportunity to bring these innovations to life through our customers' eyes and through their journeys. We're honored to have 3 technology leaders from Allergan, Alliance Data, and Cengage join our Executive Vice Chairman, COO, and co-founder, Frederick Karrast, for a panel conversation. Welcome.
All right. Good morning. How's everyone doing? We're going to try it again. How's everyone doing today? Good. All right. There you go. That's what I like. Thank you, Hector. The president of technology is in the back jumping up and down about everything he saw today. Hopefully you'd seen it before. But anyway, it's great to be here with all of you. Thank you very much for coming. We greatly appreciate it. I am thrilled to be here today talking about a lot of the innovation that we've seen and that we have coming out at the company. And I'm also thrilled to be joined by 3 of our customers from some of the world's largest organizations. It's one thing for us to come up on stage, whether it's Todd, the CEO, or people who really do the work like Dia, and tell you about what we're doing. I think it's a lot more interesting and probably valuable for all of you to hear it from the customer's perspective. How do they think about these opportunities? What are they doing with the Okta Identity Cloud? And how are they going to move their businesses forward? So I'm going to start by having our customers introduce themselves, and then we'll get into a little bit of detail about how they're using the platform. George, maybe we'll start with you as the CTO of Cengage, obviously going through a very interesting merger with McGraw-Hill, one of the big 3 EDU publishers today. I think there's a lot going on in your world.
A little bit, yeah. And I think, so I'm George Moore, CTO for Cengage. So Cengage is the largest US-based content and technology provider for higher education. And it's very close to home the way Todd started this. Cengage is a 100-year-old company that 7 years ago we faced bankruptcy. And in that process, we were a textbook company that needed to change and needed to embrace kind of what's going on in the world and what our customers expect. And so over the last 6 years, we've had to transform the company from a typical manufacturing business into a true technology company where our customers now, over 90% of our revenue is coming from software-based solutions.
Great.
Good morning, Darren Linden, Head of Corporate IT Services at Alliance Data. Dia mentioned our company a little bit. We're a collection of businesses ranging from private label credit cards to loyalty programs. Really, it's all about customer insight and helping our partners drive more value to their customers. Our role at Alliance Data is to provide kind of that enterprise nerve center, or the mothership, if you will, that ties all the businesses together.
And Alliance Data, you have a lot of the branded credit cards that I'm sure many of our audience members have today.
Right.
So you know exactly what they did this morning for breakfast, those kinds of things.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's what we're going to talk about today. Great.
Right.
And Sandy?
Hi, good morning. My name is Sandy Dalal, and I'm responsible for Identity and Access Management Services at Allergan. Allergan is a pharmaceutical company, and we do research and development in a number of therapeutic areas, most notably medical aesthetics. We also produce branded drugs, and our most well-known brand is Botox. We have 23,000 people in our workforce across 110 countries worldwide. And we were Okta's, one of Okta's early customers and partners. We were Okta customer number 7. We met Okta at a time when our business was changing, and we had an on-prem identity system that just wasn't working for us. So in collaborating with Okta, we were able to really transform the way we do things, move to Okta primarily, and they're really at the core of our IAM ecosystem even today. So definitely appreciate the partnership and the investment that Okta's made in our initiatives and successes over the years.
Great. Well, 6,993 plus customers later, I'm glad that you're still with us today, Sandy. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Great. So let's start talking a little bit about digital Darwinism, which Todd opened up with this morning, just talking about some of the fundamental changes. He referenced how large organizations really have to compete with a lot of disruptors today to not only survive, but obviously thrive in the modern world. I think, George, with your brief introduction, there's probably no better example on the stage certainly than that. So maybe talk a little bit about how Cengage over the last 100 years went through such a big growth, and then obviously most recently had to go through a pretty big business model change.
Yeah, so we've been, the education industry has been a laggard in adopting technology to change the workflows and how people engage. And education in general has been going through kind of identity crisis of how it's going to show up and where it's going to go in the future. So for us, there's really two big tectonic changes. One was how we show up, how we build our products, the kind of people we bring into the organization, the kind of tools that they expect to have and that they need to be productive. We've really moved into a group of knowledge workers, and as we're building content from heating and ventilating training to economics to computer science, all of these different teams are building these solutions to create what today's students want is an engaging online experience to augment the legacy content that we've always had and really core of the business. And so for us, transforming the organization was bringing in hundreds and hundreds of engineers, bringing in different types of people who expected a different workplace going forward. And so that was a huge transformation for us to embrace what the 21st century business is, which is part technology company, and really take those cues from what we see here in Silicon Valley back to a kind of traditional business. On top of that, we had to change how we show up from a customer perspective. So, if you think about if you were in college, how you bought your textbooks, you went down, you tried to find the best price, you had to make sure you got the book that your professor told you needed to buy. And you tried to buy a used one. You maybe, in the recent years, you tried to download a BitTorrent of a PDF, or how do I get it? How do I get it for the least cost possible? And it was very similar to before the music industry changed. It was a complicated process to figure out how can I get what I need to be successful for the lowest price possible. So just recently, we decided we need to totally change our business model. And so we launched what we call Cengage Unlimited. So instead of trying to figure out this choose your own adventure, how do I find the thing I need to be successful in all my classes, just sign up for a subscription. And so for $119, all 25,000 textbooks, all of our course materials, everything that we have is available to you. And if you pick the wrong one, just delete it and add the right one. And we're now a partner with you. And this is how students buy their music, by their entertainment, by everything else. So it's really meeting our customers where they are and pushing our traditional business model aside, which was very self-serving, to a business model that we can be a true partner with our customers. And so you can imagine going through that type of massive change of how we do business has just changed all of our business systems, how we have to partner, and then just the real-time nature of a system. These systems can't be off anymore. They expect the system to be up just as Google, Gmail, anything else. I want to do my homework when I want to do my homework, and I don't want to have to understand when a maintenance downtime is. That systems always have to be on. That's what today's customers expect, and that's what we need to deliver.
That makes a lot of sense. In an online publishing world, you can understand how obviously you're almost digitally native, or you have to be digitally native now. Turning a little bit to Sandy and Darren, obviously Fortune 500 companies that you're responsible for technology at, $3 billion, $7 billion respectively in revenue. What does innovation look like for organizations of your size, of your scope, of your scale across all these different kinds of businesses?
Yeah, there are a number of trends that we're focused on right now, things like AI, IoT, medical devices, and we're implementing these innovative technologies to remain competitive with disruptors. One of the interesting innovations that we did recently where we created technology was for a product called TrueTier, which is a medical device that helps our patients naturally stimulate tears for people who suffer from dry eye. So that was a real game changer for Allergan.
It's probably pretty important to have the identity right before I start messing with my neighbor's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was really key to it in terms of like the mobile interaction. So, absolutely.
Yep. And Darren?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at that from an internal lens as we try to attract and retain talent as we move in the future. It's narrowing the gap between the consumer IT that we all use and love, the mobile capabilities, all the apps that we use in our life, and provide a business application suite that's similar, right? So, you know, it sends the right message to a prospective employee and to talent, right, that this is the right place to work, you know, as we evolve kind of our technology internally.
And obviously Alliance Data has been around for a long time. You have a lot of on-premises infrastructure. Talking a little bit about some of the hybrid IT references that both Todd made and Dia made in terms of some of the product innovation we have. I know you have over 20,000 employees. A lot of on-premises infrastructure to run all these credit card systems and a lot of the data. But over the last few years, to your point about how do we modernize, how do we empower our employee base, you have been adopting more cloud technology and trying to integrate that with some of your on-premises infrastructure, Oracle, PeopleSoft. How did you think about that? What were some of the challenges and what are some of the things that you learned as you went through that process?
Yeah, so we definitely have a cloud-first mindset, but you know the reality is we have major legacy complex applications that are deeply ingrained, as Dia mentioned. So we had to find an answer to improve that user experience. Before Okta and the Access Gateway, the day in the life of an Alliance Data employee was, you know, on a good day, you come to work and you have to get on the network VPN or in the office and you log into each application every time with your local credentials. That's on a good day. Most days, it was a very fragile system. So we looked at say, how can we kind of create that new user experience, and that's where the power of Okta and the Access Gateway came in. We were able to take these large, kind of complex applications and, I kind of make them SaaS-like, kind of present them as a SaaS through the Okta portal, so where now we can provide our users, doesn't matter if you're in business A or business B, in Europe or in North America, you go to the Okta portal to do your job. This is really a game changer for us because now you're working off network, on network, it doesn't matter. The apps are always on from anywhere, from any device. Another key aspect for us was the ability to enforce MFA. So for multiple reasons, we needed to increase our security footprint and stay compliant with our ISP. So now that we kind of have this nice infrastructure in place, how do we enhance the user experience? So, and we're now leveraging the power of adaptive MFA from Okta. Essentially what happens is the policies start building kind of a behavior pattern that we trust. So as example, if you're working from home over time, that second factor goes away. So you basically just log directly into your apps.
That's great. And then Sandy, Allergan's been around 35 years. Obviously, as a pharmaceutical company, you probably grew up in a world where online wasn't really a thing. So a lot of on-premises infrastructure, a lot of also motion, a lot of different product innovation. How do you think about hybrid IT and what you've done so far and also where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. When we first started, on-prem was really our only option, but since then, Allergan has grown tremendously, both from a size and geographic perspective. We now have employees in many locations, both in Allergan offices, remote, and they really expect to be able to access the applications and tools that they need to do their job from just about anywhere. So we really needed a solution that would enable our employees, one that would make them productive and successful, and also give us the ability to secure the data and applications that they were accessing. I think one interesting thing when you look at pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors is that companies have historically been slow or conservative to move to the cloud and adopt cloud technologies. Allergan has a cloud-first mentality, and we've been that way for a while. But we're also cloud smart in the sense that we want to make sure we put the right security measures in place.
That makes sense. So obviously industries that are under a lot of change, where you are facing that disruption. At the same time, not only are you adapting well to it, but you are surviving and thriving in there. There's obviously a lot of growth, a lot of scale going on in all your businesses. Some of that's organic growth, some of that's mergers and acquisitions. In fact, we're in the middle of two of them, right? We talked about Cengage and McGraw-Hill, and AbbVie has an intent to acquire Allergan right now. And I know that over the last years, you guys have done at Allergan a tremendous number of acquisitions, which we'll talk about as well. How do you integrate and integrate new organizations? How do you spin off new organizations? How do you support growth? How do you do that at scale, organically or via acquisition? I want to touch a little bit on that. So Darren, let's start with you, a little bit around the workforce and around as you've grown with that employee base. Right. What are some of the things that you've seen there?
Yeah, so we have to be innovative and nimble because, as you mentioned, business is dynamic. It's always changing, growing through organically or through acquisition, and sometimes divestiture. One of the things that we've found very powerful with the Okta partnership is, being in IT a long time, when you bought a company, you had to go through the very expensive and painful process of integration, domain integrations, and that's time-consuming, very expensive, and painful. Our company was a collection of businesses, and our CEO's vision was, hey, let them be autonomous because what they bring to the market is great, but from an IT standpoint, it made it very difficult to run enterprise systems. So we were able to basically tie together all of our businesses with a lightweight touch, layering Okta and the Access Gateway on top of that, and it really just changed the game in terms of you can buy a company and you can get them quick access to your business systems without these massive projects to integrate them.
Yeah, very expensive, very time consuming, but not really that value add to the business. Yeah. And then by the time you've integrated that AD environment or domain or infrastructure, a lot of times it's time to spin out that company or something else, right?
Right, so we've actually seen that, Okta is the front door, the secure access to our applications, but on the flip side, when you get into a divestiture or a peel-off scenario, it is your control to the services. So a lot of times when you divest a company, there'll be a transition period, a TSA period, and at point A, you no longer provide that service or that application. Okta gives us the power to close that door securely, and it's a great solution for us.
And then Sandy, for you, it's a little bit about speed as well, because you guys are in the quick moving business. A lot of M&As happened over the past years. How do you think about that? Not just about the infrastructure, but also the speed of doing those kinds of things.
Yeah, long before the recent news, we've been in a culture of acquisition. We do acquisition volume. And in fact, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've probably done about 50 acquisitions. And I think Okta has played a really important part in improving our M&A agility, especially when it comes to things like cross-company access. When we acquire a company, we can quickly absorb the acquired company's employees and give them access to Allergan applications, an Allergan email address, all by day one. And that's really important because M&A is a nervous time for everyone on both sides. So the quicker and timelier we can do that, the quicker people can hit the ground running and feel good about the situation. One of the other important challenges we have is moving infrastructure into the Allergan network securely. So for that, we usually introduce things like network trusts, and there's a lot of due diligence and security assessments and tools and things that we use to make sure that we don't introduce, or there are no vulnerabilities on either company's network. So there's usually a standard level of acceptance in place before we can do a network trust. But all in all, if the acquired company has cloud-based applications, we can quickly integrate those into our Allergan Okta tenant quite seamlessly. For companies that have more on-prem applications, there's a little bit more planning involved. We're not as flexible as we are during M&As. We're not a company that wants to stitch systems together. So the complexities that on-prem systems bring really make it challenging from an internal process and access perspective. So for those types of applications, we usually lift and shift those into our network over time. And then lastly, for user accounts, we can usually integrate those into our domain and infrastructure quickly, which is nice because then we don't have to manage applications and security policies separately.
And then so that's great on the workforce side, your employees, your contractors, your consultants, your extended partner networks when you're doing that M&A and growing at scale. George, for you, it's more on obviously you guys are going through a merger with McGraw-Hill, but for you, it's really more, as you said, about the customer side of things. So when you're thinking about that growth, you're thinking about that scale. I know that we heard from Neil, obviously, at MLB, but not too dissimilar from the relationship that we've started building with Cengage and how you thought about, we have a critical date, we need to do this at scale, is this going to work for me?
Yeah, being a new Okta customer, some things don't change. Kids still wait to the night before the exam to study, do their homework, and what have you. And so now that our experiences are all online and it's a critical component of that learning experience, Sunday night at 7 o'clock is our busiest time. And so for us, taking that stress off of our organization where we had done this internally, to take to somebody, this is your job, this is what you guys do, and to be able to say, look, we need somebody who focuses on this to make sure that this happens. And then you add the merger, next September, I'm going to have twice as many students overnight. And so to be able to scale to that extent is, it's a weight off our shoulders to say, we've got a great partner who can follow that, and that's learning from people like Major League Baseball and others, and we're not going through it the first time ourselves.
Yeah, and when we build new products like Dynamic Scale, which Dia was announced this morning, those are not things we do in a vacuum. We do it in a close partnership with you. I know that you helped us, as did many other customers, think about what's the right way to do that, how do we do that. You obviously had a lot of experience gained yourself that we could glean on, and I think that was a good partnership we had there together.
Agreed.
Yeah. So large organizations, a lot of disruption going on, traditional industries, they have to adapt quickly. A lot of on-premises infrastructure. Everyone in the room is very familiar with enterprise IT. As I like to put it very commonly, they don't throw anything away. What they do is buy new things and kind of glue them on the front, which is why you end up with this hybrid IT infrastructure. A lot of digital transformation going on. You're trying to do it. You're trying to grow. You're trying to scale. But obviously, you can't do all this and just throw security out the window. So I want to talk just a little bit about security. How do you balance the experience, the end user experience, the customer experience with security? How do you ensure data is protected as you modernize and as you move to the cloud? What are some of the best practices that you've learned and maybe your philosophies as you've gone through this? I'll put it as a jump ball.
Got it. All right. You're usually so directive, Freddie.
George, I'd like it if you could actually take this. That would be great.
So, there's two parts of it. So as you go, as a legacy company going through digital transformation, we see the benefit of what our new experiences creating engaging online experiences for students to have that aha moment as they're learning something and really understanding, why am I learning this? We're not just memorizing it. Let's really give them these interactive experiences. That's great. We know we have that opportunity. As soon as we start talking about bringing kids onto the internet, people get nervous. And so security for us is such a bedrock that this is change. This is hard. This is people who are changing, professors around the world changing how they do work. And if you introduce student privacy, student data, these types of things in the middle of all of that, it just slows you down exponentially. So for us, it's something that, we don't have credit card information, but we have really personal information about students, about challenges that they might have. And if people start to get worried that this is not a safe environment, it slows the transformation down exponentially.
And it's tricky, right? Because also, I know you and I have discussed that students leave, and then you're responsible for this data. How long do you have to keep the data? So all those kinds of laws that don't even really exist today.
Yeah.
That shows just how fast you're pushing the envelope, and kind of the legislature's trying to keep up, right? And I know you're doing a lot on that front too.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's tough. It's this is new for everybody, and all the GDPR and California Consumer Protection Act. They're written in one view, but they're applied to all of us. I was meeting with a CIO for Stanford last week, and I said, what are we going to do about the California law? He goes, it doesn't apply to me. I'm a nonprofit. I'm like, yeah, but I provide all your stuff for you, and I'm not. And he's like, oh man, so then we have to do everything. And so he's now getting Stanford and all universities and small community colleges are getting pulled into these consumer protection acts that were really kind of a broad brush stroke of what's happening. So it's going to be complicated as we make sure that we don't limit the experience and protect our people from themselves, and make sure that we do protect them from the true threats that are out there.
Yeah. So personal information of students, obviously very important. Credit card data kind of ranks right up there too.
Yep, absolutely. A 3-year journey now with Okta. We just renewed. We now have our business applications behind Okta in our data. We're in a better security posture than we've ever been. And to keep touching on that access gateway, we have session level visibility into who's accessing our financial systems, our HR systems. That kind of granularity is a great position to be in. But I want to touch again on, you don't have to sacrifice the end user experience. The adaptive MFA is a great example. We can continue to ratchet up the security, and the end user really sees a better experience on their side. So it's a win-win for both.
Mm-hmm. And then, Sandy, I know that when you think about, you all started at Allergan as a workforce identity and access management customer, and you actually were some of the design partners who brought us into customer identity and access management, because you said, hey, you have this great user store, it works awesome in the cloud, I also want to use this for some of my physicians when we have 90-day drug trials, all these kinds of things. You were very clearly thinking about, from the very beginning, how do I mesh moving forward, doing that quickly, enhancing the security posture for critical data, but doing that in a way where physicians, who, my wife's a physician, I love her dearly, she might not be the most technically savvy person in the world, physicians need to access all this information as well, and do that quickly because they're on the move as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trust is a huge thing at Allergan, and we're moving toward a zero trust security model, and Okta has been a very big part of that. And one of the things being part of a pharmaceutical is that one of our top priorities is protecting intellectual property. And after Viagra, Botox is the second most targeted intellectual property in the industry. So we see a lot of different types of attacks against our users from a threat landscape perspective, things like phishing campaigns, denial of service attacks. So for us, it's really important that we have the right set of ecosystem security partners who can help us to ensure that our intellectual property and our user and customer data is protected. And Okta has really helped immensely in this area on this journey with zero trust and just broader security. Just recently, we rolled out multi-factor authentication to our entire workforce. And we've also started to take advantage of the health and threat insights. So we're able to block requests into our Allergan Okta tenant from malicious IPs, which has been a really big thing for us. But I think one thing I'm really excited about is the contextual access information that we get in Okta. It's allowing us to build more risk-based access policies and make smarter decisions on access. And I think the context is really a precursor to more passwordless scenarios. For a company with a strong legacy, we're always going to have some applications that require a password. But I think we're really going to be able to start to minimize and eradicate the dependency on passwords. And what that means for our end users is that when they're accessing applications, Allergan applications, they're going to be able to do so in a friction-free and secure way where we're not overburdening them.
That's great. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing a little bit of the story here this morning, and obviously for your ongoing partnership. We greatly appreciate it. Please join me in a big round of applause for our guests here today. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Freddie.
All right. Thank you all so much. It's always one of my favorite parts of these events to hear directly from our customers about how they're partnering with us to address the opportunities and challenge that come with the disruption Todd and Dia discussed earlier. Another key way we make our customers successful is via the breadth and depth of our integrations. Earlier, we talked about how a key part of our company strategy is to offer infinite integrations that enable unlimited use cases. Well, partnerships are a key driver of those integrations, and our next announcement builds on that strategy. Here to discuss is Monty Gray, our SVP of Corporate Development. Monty.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's great to be here. How are we doing this morning? It's been a long morning, but we're almost there. So a big theme we've had today has been about how organizations need to evolve this ever-changing technology environment. And a big part of that is what Dia mentioned, core philosophy of what Okta is trying to provide, which is to enable any organization to use any technology. And for the world's largest organizations, that means accelerating your move to the cloud. This is why we are pleased to announce our partnership with Atlassian, the leading provider of team collaboration and productivity software. I can't think of a better company that addresses the whole productivity theme. Here, we're integrating Okta's core authentication technology into Atlassian's core product, and we'll talk about that in a minute, to help their customers with this new journey for seamless interaction into the cloud. With Okta, Atlassian's customers can expect seamless access to their respective workforce's technologies to make them more productive and ultimately more successful. To tell us more about this, please join me in welcoming Anu Bhardwaj, the head of product for Atlassian Cloud, to the stage. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
So thanks for joining us this morning. We've talked about a couple different things today, but one big theme has been how companies adopting cloud technologies helps them really on workforce productivity, which is right down the middle for Atlassian, as well as customer engagement. So tell us a bit about Atlassian and your strong move to the cloud with some of your recent announcements.
Sure. So how many of you here have used Atlassian products? Okay, great. So I'm glad I don't have to start with what Atlassian does. So Atlassian builds collaboration software, and we see our customers use our software across a variety of contexts. So we started out, historically, Atlassian was a developer tools company. So we used to serve technical teams to start with. This was about 17 years ago when we started the company. Since then, we've branched into serving all sorts of teams. So as a company, really, our mission is to unleash the potential in all teams, not just technical teams. As a result of that, our product line now gets used across customers of different industries, different sizes, etc. So traditionally, we've been an on-prem company when we started out the company, but over the past decade, like Todd was mentioning, we've moved strongly into the cloud, because as a company, we strongly believe that cloud is the future. So I run the cloud business for Atlassian, and over the past few years, we've invested heavily in making sure that we have a ground-up cloud-native platform on top of which we've put our entire cloud product line. Overall, when we talk to our customers, there's a strong push to cloud simply because customers want to focus on their core business and less on running infrastructure, maintaining products, doing peripheral things that are outside of their actual mission. So with cloud, it's very obvious to see the benefits. You get the latest and the greatest immediately. Collaboration becomes a lot more easy. It's real time. Yeah. And performance is fast. You can scale to multiple geos. Almost all companies are now multi-region, multi-geo. So we see a strong push towards the cloud, both from customers and our investment itself. So now as a result of that, over 90% of Atlassian's customers choose cloud first. So we are predominantly a cloud company overall.
That's incredible. And just to add some more context, for the room to appreciate it, Atlassian, I understand, has about 80% of the Fortune 500 as customers, which is a significant base, very complex environments. So what are you seeing in those environments as those customers start to migrate to the cloud?
So a large segment of our customers are enterprises, and they have, like we talked about all morning, they have fairly complicated, sophisticated tool chains and infrastructure. in fact, we were surprised to see how many of our customers actually preferred a lift and shift approach, like one of the panelists before we're talking about. On one hand, it really simplifies the whole journey to cloud if you do that at one shot. And it's also an intensive effort. So some customers actually commit to doing that and go through a very short but intense transition to cloud. But majority of our customers have a longer journey where they transition over to the cloud in a phased approach. Therefore, they adopt somewhat of a hybrid cloud approach. Now, Atlassian already has on-prem products and cloud products. So we see our customers use our own products in a hybrid cloud world already. So we've been seeing that pattern for many years. But also Atlassian, like Okta, believes in best of breed application choice. So we see a lot of our customers use our partners and other cloud SaaS applications along with our on-prem apps or other on-prem legacy apps along with our cloud apps. So as a result of that, we have a migration strategy. We have a migration center in which we handhold our customers to move through these different stages in hybrid cloud stage by stage.
That's perfect. So that's a great segue. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about why you're here, our partnership. We already have plenty of existing joint customers, Dentsu in Europe, and then MLB, which had incredible video. We have to work on that. Why did you decide to partner with Okta, and how does partnering with Okta help you be successful with the promise of navigating these complex environments and having a productive experience?
So at Atlassian, we're big fans of Okta, like you know already. Our philosophy, like I said, is very much in strong belief of in the cloud world. We imagine that customers are going to use multiple applications together. And for us, one of our primary focus as a company was on security and privacy of our customers, fortifying that in the cloud world. Especially for larger enterprise customers, the biggest worries they have is around, once I move to the cloud, do I lose control of how to secure the perimeter, like Dia was saying, and how I can have control over access management, user management, and policy enforcement of my customers. So Atlassian Access is really our one product, one-stop shop for securing and applying user management and administration policies for Atlassian customers. The partnership with Okta was perfectly placed there because Okta is really the one place through which customers can actually make sure that centralized access happens across all of their product suite. And combined with Atlassian Access, that really gives them a perfect solution to make sure that not just Atlassian products, but all of our other partner applications are all located in one place and controlled in one place.
No, that's great. I think this is going to be, our customers should be excited about this. I think the large companies who are making the transition should be excited about this. We're just getting started in the partnership. I think there's much more we can do. How do you see this going forward?
So at Atlassian, our focus in the future is very much on enterprise cloud. Over the last year or so, my team has basically done a series of product launches specifically for enterprise customers in the cloud around what we call Cloud Premium, which is around administrative capability, centralized control and security policies for our larger customers. And over the coming few years, we will continue to invest more and more in that space. And given our large joint customer set and the focus on making sure that enterprise customers succeed in a multi-application, multi-cloud world, I'm excited to see what else we can do.
Yeah, I think there's plenty here. So again, please join me. Another round of applause for Anu and the Atlassian team that made this possible. Thank you for joining us here. And with that, I'll toss it back to Lindsay.
All right. Thank you, Monty and Nu, and to all of our speakers this morning, and to all of you in the room here at our all-hands space at Okta HQ, and to the 800 of you who joined us via the live stream. We're thrilled you could be here for our first showcase. We hope it was informative and showcased our product and engineering innovation and commitment to constantly innovating across the Okta Identity Cloud to better serve our customers. So for those of you who are here, we have coffee and pastries outside. We welcome you to network with those who are up here speaking today, ask questions about what you saw. And if you are an investor, please meet Dave, Janice, and Will in the back of the room, and they will bring you up to the Q&A session. Thank you so much again for coming, and we look forward to hosting you at our next event.